What's up, YouTube family? This is Elder Stacy Zanders coming to you with another video. In this video, we're going to be talking about Executive Order 14067 that has to do with digital currencies. You don't want to miss this. The President of the United States, Joe Biden, signed an executive order on March 9th, 2022 to upgrade, look into, and change how we deal with money. And we're going to get into some information that I think is going to be, is not going to be, it is relevant to you, and you should be concerned about it. And I understand that people don't always look at what's going on in the big picture, especially in the Christian community. I've recently heard a pastor that preached and told people, stop watching all this stuff on the news and things of that nature, just focus on Jesus. Let me tell you something. We have to discern the signs of the times, and you need to understand what's going on. If you're going to connect the dots, put the pieces of the puzzle together to see what is going on, you need to understand what's going on a local, statewide, national, and a global level, so you can understand where you are in relations to all of this. But Executive Order 14067, we are going to get into this. Let's do that now. It doesn't matter where you are around the country or around the world, you need to understand this. This is the website for the White House, United States of America. And let's just read a little bit about this executive order, and then we'll get into a discussion. It says, by authority invested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, policy. Advances in digital and distributed ledger technology for financial services have led to dramatic growth in markets for digital assets with profound implications for the protections of consumers, investors, and businesses, including data privacy and security, financial stability and systematic risk, crime, national security, the ability to exercise human rights, financial inclusion, and equity. The energy, demand, and climate change. In November 2021, non-state issued digital assets reached a combined market capitalization of $3 trillion, up from approximately $14 billion in early November 2016. Monetary authorities globally are also exploring and in some cases introducing central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Well, many activities involving digital assets are within the scope of existing domestic laws and regulations, an area where the United States has been a global leader. Growing development and adoption of digital assets and related innovations, as well as inconsistent controls to defend against certain key risks, necessitates an evolution of alignment of the United States government approach to digital assets. Listen to me very carefully. This is much deeper than people think, feel, or believe. Number one, with the revolution of cryptocurrency, they began to see there is a market change. There was Mark Cuban said that digital currency or cryptocurrency was going to become the currency of the future because the younger generations are into the crypto markets. I'm not sure how many of you know much about the crypto markets or even invested in the crypto markets, but there was at one point a time where you can make a lot of money. Myself and some other people have done well in the crypto markets, but like in everything, once governments start to see that there is opportunity, they start to put their hands in the pot. And I understand in some ways this executive order has been introduced because there has been a lot of crime. You have some very prominent people in the United States, sports stars, singers, actors created platforms that was ripping people off because there was no laws created. So sometimes when there are crimes being committed, rules of just ethical rules are being broken, which bring this about. But it's not really that. It's the trillions of dollars that poured into crypto markets, which caused governments around the world to want to start putting their hands in the till. But we're going to talk a little here about Robert Kiyosaki, a billionaire investor. He wrote the book Rich Dad Poor Dad, and Listen to what he had to say. He said, Robert Kiyosaki, investment guru and author of the personal finance book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, has some choice words for the possibility of the U.S. introducing central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, as well as for Executive Order 14067. In a tweet on Monday, he called President Joe Biden sign Executive Order the most treasonous act in the U.S. history, and the creation of CBDC, communism in its purest form, encouraging Americans to stay awake. The tweet read, Jim Richards made his most important announcement today. It's about the most treasonous act in U.S. history. Biden's Executive Order 14067 is communist in its purest form. The creation of CBDC, central bank digital currency, stay awake, and he tells us to tune in. What is Executive Order 14067, and what are some of the things that is going to take place once they roll this out? This is expected to come out December of this year, 13th, 2022, and we're gonna at that point gonna start to begin to see some significant changes in how your money is treated in the United States of America. Just a couple of months ago, back in April or May, United States have added on, I think it was about 80,000 IRS agents. They said they're going after people who owe back taxes, and that there were some IRS agents that are retiring, but they are gearing up the Internal Revenue Services. They doing it for a specific reason, not because 80,000 people are retiring and they're replacing them. Remember, just a few months ago, even when it came to sending people money through Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, things of that nature, President Biden wanted the IRS to be looking into all of these transactions. So if I sent my mother $600 via Cash App, they're going to want my mother to pay taxes on that money that I sent her. That money, number one, was already taxed. I'm giving her money to help support, provide for, I'm using it as an example, support, survive, provide, and take care of her, but they don't care about that. They're trying to increase revenues for themselves. So they're gearing up to start to take more control over the finances that people have by creating this digital currency. They want to get rid of, we all know, you've been hearing this for years. The Bible talks about it. We've talked about it on numerous occasions, that they are moving away from fiat or cash money to digital currency. And digital currency seem to be the trend. Now, it depends on what level you live on, because on certain people on certain levels, they don't deal with fiat. Fiat is paper money, cash money. They only deal with digital transactions, whether it's direct deposits, transferring bank withdrawals from one account to the other account on a certain level of economic and business, on state, government, even when you deal with baseball, basketball, sports teams, things of that nature. Those people are dealing with digital assets. It's all computerized. They're not giving people paper money or writing checks to people. They're just making transfers, and they want to make this across the board, transfer this money across the board. So you have to be careful, because even when they go into a digital market, just like in the crypto market, if you made a mistake and sent your money to the wrong platform, or you put in the wrong information, you will lose your cryptocurrency. So because there was no laws, no way to redeem or recoup or get your money back. So starting out in cryptocurrency, a lot of people learn in those manners. And just like with this digital currency, they can just push a button and they can eliminate all of your assets, your life savings, put it on pause, put it on hold. It gives the government more control over your finances. I don't care what they tell you. They're going to tell you that is not their plan. It's not what they're going to do. That simply is not going to be the case. So let's get more into it. Let's get more into this here. So let's see here. Executive Order 14067, titled Ensuring Responsibility Development of Digital Assets, aims for the responsible development of digital assets, including developing policy plans and the Organization of Federal Regulators, any future dollar payment system should be designed in a way that is consistent with United States priorities and democratic values, including privacy protections, and that ensures the global financial system has appropriate transparency, connectivity, and platforms and architecture, interoperability, and transferability as appropriate. All right, so what they want to do, they want to make sure, the main thing is that your digital assets, whether it is these digital US dollars, is going to go probably from a dollar base to a credit base, connected to cryptocurrencies. They're just simply trying to go to a digital or to a cashless system of transferring monies. Here's several things that's going to take place when this happens. Number one, they've been talking about this for decades. A lot of the bank notes from the United States of America, they know is in the hands of drug dealers, hundreds of millions of dollars. Saddam Hussein, when they tore into the walls of his palaces, they found hundreds of millions of dollars in US dollars locked up in the walls of some of his palaces that he lived in. Now, if you go to a digital or a transactional or platforms where the currency is now digital, it's going to be much harder for you to sell drugs. It's gonna stop or put an end to a lot of things, criminality that's going on, because those credits have to be transferred over digital platform, which means you're gonna have the FBI, CIA, NSA, and all of these other governments are going to be watching those transactions, so it's going to eliminate a lot of crime. Another thing they want this system of transaction is because it's going to be more difficult for me to pay the kid to come to my house cash money to cut my grass. I've been cutting my grass over the year, made $2,000 or $3,000 possibly over the course of that year, where the government want their tax revenues. So if everything goes to a digital or a digital transfer, it's going to be difficult for that individual to get away with not paying taxes on those funds. But at the same time, there's other systems of government that has already put these policies in place. Up in Canada or in China, to give an example, over in Canada, they had a trucking company that during the COVID, they did not want to take the COVID shots. Well, they was on this digital, they had this digital platform, and guess what happened? As I read, I haven't validated it, but as I read, that their assets were digitally stopped, seized, in other words, to shut down their protest of not taking the COVID shots. So these are going to be some of the things that take place. But let me say this from a Christian view, a Christian standpoint, the Bible talks about it. I read a book in 1998 called 4 Shocks of the Antichrist. Bill Gates has the patent, always had the patent for the mark of the beast. And in Revelations, book of Revelation, it talks about he shall cause all men, the new world, whoever's going to be running the world order, the Antichrist, he's going to cause all men, both small and great, rich or poor, bond or free, to receive a mark in their forehead or in the palm of the backside of one of their hands. And this is going to take place. This is what we're gearing up to. This is the transition that we are seeing with this digital. Things are taking place in the invisible realm that we're seeing in the visible realm, and it is going to come to pass. I'm telling you, the Bible is absolutely right, and everything that it says is going to take place. And they're working on this. He wrote that. That was in a book in 1998. If you can get it, 4 Shocks of the Antichrist. Bill Gates said analog television is going to go out in 2012. Digital televisions are coming in, and that's what happened. That was about tracking people. They did have a plan at that time to chip everybody by the year 2020. And in that book, Bill Gates said that the issue that they was having at that time, people who was 45 years old or older, was the hindrance to what they was trying to do. They needed that age group to go off the scene because they still wanted to go into banks, deal with people face to face, and the younger generations was more acceptable to making transactions digitally. All right, so you still have that, so they're a little off track in their plans on that. But other nations, other countries that are more dictatorial or communist, they are implementing these rules and regulations a whole lot faster than the United States of America is. It goes on to say the International Monetary Fund said in a blog released last month that CBDCs can be more effective solution compared to credit and debit cards, particularly in terms of energy efficacy. Depending on the specific details of how they are configured, CBDCs and some kinds of crypto assets can be more energy efficient than much of the current payment landscape, including credit and debit cards, the blog read. Listen, Richards criticized CBDC and labeled it as Bitcoin's evil cousin. He also exposed the supposed singular event called C-Day, which according to him would take place on December 13th, 2022, and will disrupt the traditional financial system in the US. The ex-CIA insider also claimed when C-Day happens, paper money would be worthless and the US dollar would crash. He said consumer spending and access to basic needs would also be restricted and people holding too much money would be penalized. I did read this in other articles. The whole United States, our economy is based on gross domestic product. All right, it's based on trade, buying and selling. The United States government do not like for you to save money. They want you in debt. They want you to constantly and keep spending, which in turn keep the economy rolling. And one of the plans with this is if you are saving too much money, they're going to want to penalize you and take more of your money away. So if you have money saved up, stored up, and you're saving it, they're going to penalize your holdings or tax it because you're saving too much money. Listen, I don't think that it's no surprise. Sometimes when we have these market crashes and their trillions of dollars are swept away out of the stock markets, that money is simply being transferred from point A to point B, and they take away the wealth of the American people and people around the world. These are things that we have to keep in mind. These transitions are going to take place and they're happening, and you have to stay woke. You have to be sober, vigilant. You have to understand the signs of the times and what's going on and what the governments of the world are doing. I know they try to give you a false choice of Democrat and Republican, liberals and conservatives, but behind closed doors, they're all working in unison together. And we have to keep in mind, we have to stay on top of what is going on. I'm not trying to make you afraid. I'm not trying to put fear in your heart. I just want to give you the information so that you can be more conscientious and more aware. Sometimes in all of the devil, they say, is in the details, and we need to be paying more attention to what's going on in the world in which we live. You have people, they prophesy, they tell you about what's going on from a prophetic standpoint, but you also have to have the understanding in real world dollars and cents figures as well, because it's all tied in together. Someone has to be able to tell you what's going on in the real world and connect that real world reality with the Bible. We're not doing that here. We're just talking about this Executive Order 140-67, which is going to start transitioning us from fiat or paper currency into a digital world or a cashless society. And I want to add, as we close, all of this Executive Order 14067 is not bad. I do think that there need to be some regulation in the crypto market. I don't know if people who invested, I know me and some of the friends of mine, we have lost a lot of money in the crypto market because of people that were scamming, or you had whales that would dump a lot of money into the market, inflate it, and then they start pulling their monies out of the market, out of the crypto or out of the markets, which would then have some of the cryptocurrencies tank. So they try to day trade it and essentially dumping money in, wait for it to rise, pull the profits out of there, which make it difficult for people who are really trying to invest money. But this section C of Executive Order 14067 is actually a good part of it, but there's also a much bigger picture and what they're trying to accomplish with this as well. And let's just take a look at this real quick. Section C, we must mitigate the illicit finance and national security risk posed by misuse of digital assets. Digital assets may pose significant illicit finance risks, including money laundering, cybercrime, and ransomware, narcotics and human trafficking, and terrorism, and proliferation of financing. Digital assets may also be used as a tool to circumvent United States and foreign financial sanction regiments and other tools and authorities. Further, while the United States has been a leader in setting international standards for the regulation and supervision of digital assets for anti-money laundering and countering the finance of terrorism, poor or non-existent implementations of those standards in some jurisdictions abroad can represent significant illicit financing risks for the United States and global financial systems. Illicit actors, including the perpetrators of ransomware and indicates and other cybercrime, often launder and cash out of their illicit proceeds using digital asset services providers in jurisdictions that have not yet effectively created controls. So that part of it is good. Cryptocurrency can be used for sex trafficking, transferring money in that fashion, drug trafficking. So to create the controls to stop that, I'm not so much against that. I am, however, against them regulating, controlling, and looking into just you trying to send money to a family member or a friend to assist or to help them, and then want another party to pay taxes on money that they should not have to really pay taxes on. So if you're going to go after the real criminals, please go after the criminals, because you can change Bitcoin and other digital assets. You know, with all of the NFTs that I have on the crypto market, I mean, these are some of the ways that you can transact or make illegal purchases or transactions using digital assets. So there need to be some regulations in this industry, but not taking it to the extreme. But in terms of, if you're looking at it from a biblical standpoint, this is what's taking place and happening. This is how we're going to move from fiat to digital transactions, and it's going to happen in the near future. You can fight it, but it's going to happen. Why is it going to happen? Because the Word of God say that it's going to happen. So this is Elder Stacey Sanders. Just be careful. You need to find ways to make sure that you can not only save, have money, put things aside, create I even tell people today, like my son and I does, is we started prepping in some senses, storing water and food, things that will last for 25 years. If some things was to take place and happen, we have other outlets and ways that we can handle and deal with certain things. So we're trying to put that fiat to work in case a system breakdown does take place and happen. So stay vigilant, be sober, stick with the Lord, walk in the Spirit. This is Elder Stacey Sanders. To the next video. God bless you.